Today it's my honor actually to interview Vanessa Cisneros because we're going to talk about a very important journey, and this is the journey into the heart with crystal infused light, color, and actually the celestial sounds of a monochord. Vanessa Cisneros lives in the US, and she is a acupuncture who works with light and color and sound, but interestingly is also an accountant. So I would love to ask Vanessa some interesting questions because I want to know, how did you come from being an accountant, coming across crystals and a monochord and even crystal infused light? Can you explain a little bit your journey, how it started?
Absolutely. Hi, Thelma.
Right.
Nice to be here with you. So like you said, yes, I'm also an accountant. Actually, I've been in accounting since I was 16 years old. That's 40 years ago. So I gave away my age.
Yeah.
So I've always had this connection with life that's a little bit unusual. My first experience as a little girl, since I was about 6 years of age, I was walking. I'm originally from Managua, Nicaragua, and I was walking down the street, and it was like around 6, 7 o'clock at night, and I happened to glance at something at a light, and it was a wooded area, and when I turned, it was full of light, and it was full of these little beings, and as you can imagine, I mean, I was in total shock because it was so beautiful, and they saw me and I saw them. But I kept that experience. I never told anybody because I grew up in a Catholic home, and then my parents became Christian. So you're boxed into, this is how you see life, this is how you view life. So there's been some very distinct experiences in my life that really shape where I'm at today. So one of them was maybe 22 years ago. I had gone through a really sad breakup with the father of my kids. And my heart was in a lot of pain. And my kids were very young. And so I was really aching for them too. And I happened to go to a metaphysical bookstore, and they had all these little crystals. They had rose quartz, they had clear quartz and amethyst. I knew nothing of crystals there. I was just being a mom and a full-time accountant. And I brought them home. I put them in the bathtub, and I took a bath with them. And I remember feeling like, oh, what am I doing? But this was good. I'm just going to go with it. And that night, I had the most amazing and exquisite, back then I called it dream, but now I know it's beyond a dream. And I was in these like celestial palaces of crystals, and there were these light beings around me. And it was so sacred and so divine. And the experience was so profound that I remember waking up, like full of light and like shaking, and the pain in my heart was gone. Wow. And so that was really my first experience with crystals, and that's what began my love for them. As a matter of fact, when I had my own accounting firm, I would have crystals in the office. And my clients would come in and they would say, this is not your typical accounting office. Yeah. But they would feel it. They would feel the energy. They would feel that there was something different because, crystals create a stable environment, and they create coherence in the environment. And we tend to be chaotic and crazy, right? And our energies, our emotions. And so that's part of what they do. So then the next experience that was pretty profound for me was when I was in Peru many, many years, later. This probably happened in 2008, 2009. Yeah. I went and I did some shamanic studies, and I was asked to be the translator for one of the Quero shamans, one of the elders of the tribe. They were doing a session on one of the women that was in the group. And they said, Vanessa, would you translate? And I said, absolutely. And so the guy was, had his rattle, and, he was singing, and I was just, just being present. And then when he went, he asked me to translate what he saw. It was exactly what I had seen. And it was my first conscious experience of journeying, of being able to be in expanded awareness. And, where in the realm of 2 + 2 is not 4. Not in the concrete world that I was used to, like where 2 + 2 is 4, debits equals credits, everything has to balance. Here, I was completely out of that world. And that's when I began to realize, wait a minute, my brain works a little bit different, and I'm able to hear people's thoughts and feel their emotions. Yeah. And it is kind of scary to hear people's thoughts too, though, because, you don't want to hear some of what people think. But anyway, so that was really a profound experience where I began to notice that there was something unique and something different about how I walk through life. Then the next event that happened was, my ex-husband was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. And this was a month after we were married. And I was still, again, an accountant in a full-time practice. And that's really where, my gosh, some of my gifts just completely opened in a way that it was just mind-blowing. And one of those was really interesting because he had his lung removed, and he was left with a really bad cough, and they could not figure out what it was. And they tried all kinds of things, and they finally said, look, we're going to do a bronchoscopy because we might have left something down in that area. And I remember it was tax season. It was, the craziest time of the year. And I was going into the office, and all of a sudden I just got this image and this knowing what to do on him. And so now he's also what was a CPA, because he passed away 2 years ago. And so he's also very logical, and, 2 + 2 is 4. And so I did my thing. I removed whatever it was, and all of a sudden his cough was completely gone. Yeah. And he said, what did you do? And I said, I don't know. Mother Earth told me to do this. He goes, what? I said, yeah, Mother Earth. And he's like, oh boy. So then we went to the pulmonologist, like the next Monday, because that's when he was supposed to have the bronchoscopy. And so we're sitting there, and he tells the pulmonologist, he goes, well, your cough is gone. He goes, yeah, my wife, Mother Earth told her what to do, and she took it out. And I'm hitting him under the table, shut up. Yeah. Anyway, so after 3.5 years, his stage 4 lung cancer went into remission, and he lived for 14 years. Wow. And it took me many, many, many years to unpack those 3.5 years. Miracles happened. And this is where, Thelma, I know that women, we hold the divine in our being. And when we are in service of the divine, we become, the connectors between heaven and earth. Yeah. And what comes through us is miracles. And I did not understand at the time what was happening, but I just knew that he was getting these infusions of light through me. And of course, I wasn't telling this to anybody because they would think I was crazy. But the proof is in the pudding. Yeah. This man lived for 14 years, yeah. Where I remember the diagnosis was, you have 6 months to live. And I remember coming home and telling him, do you want me to help you live or die? Yeah. And he said, I want to live. I said, okay, we're going to do this together. And so then after 3.5 years, he was in remission. And then a woman came into my life that wanted a session from me. And I was a full-time accountant. I didn't have any training other than my crystals. And so this is truly what changed the direction of my life, meeting this woman. she had breast cancer. And so I told her, I said, look, I have no training other than just I'll put crystals on you, and that's all I know how to do. So she comes in, she lays on the table, I put my hands on her, and the minute I put my hands on her, I know she's going to die. Mm-hmm. So what I did, I just went into that place of love, of just my heart, and I would see, as I would put my hands on her energy field, I would see light, but I would also hear this choir of angels. And honestly, I thought it was only me that was seeing this and hearing this. And a few months later, she did pass away, but on her deathbed, she said, Vanessa, I remember walking into that hospital, and you would think this 52-year-old woman that's leaving 3 kids behind would be devastated. This woman was full of light. She was like an angel, really. And I walked in to say goodbye to her, and her light just was like, I've never seen anything like this. And I've helped a lot of people through the death process, but nothing ever like her. Mm-hmm. And she said to me, you realize that you have a gift. And I would highly suggest that you share this with others. I would see colors when you touched me, and I would hear a choir of angels.
Really? Yeah.
What I did not understand, or what it took me again many, many years later, that I sold my accounting practice and I went to school. Mm-hmm. I went to acupuncture school, and it was in acupuncture school that I discovered the monochord. I went to a class, and my first experience on the monochord was unforgettable. The lady began to play the monochord, and it was a table. So the monochord is a wooden bed that underneath has like 60 to 70 strings, depending on the kind that you have. And she began playing this angelic sound. And it was like, I remember feeling my heart was going to break in 1,000 pieces. And I literally saw like my heart breaking and light pouring into my heart. And I was like crying and vibrating. And I remember getting off the monochord and say, can I have one of those?
Yeah.
Which that's what I did. I ended up buying a monochord. And so I finished acupuncture school, and while in acupuncture school, I began playing the monochord for others.
Yeah.
And again, what I experienced playing the monochord for others was mind-blowing. It was like I could see the essence of people. Mm-hmm. And we come from all places, from all over the cosmos. This is why not one thing works for one person. Not one pill, not one sound, because our makeup, we say it's completely human. It is not completely human. Yeah. There are angelics among us. Yeah. And it was really an incredible journey of discovery, not only for myself, but for others. And then there were those that no matter what I did, play monochord, needles, lights, nothing would happen. No. And when I started to understand is that when people are in their heads, or when they are so conditioned with religion, with politics, with science, there is no space for the heart. Wow. And Thelma, it's in the heart that we have all the answers. It's in the heart where we can travel the galaxies, the cosmos, because there is no time and space. There is no constraint. It's just beauty, love, and grace. It's where the miracles happen. It's where what Jesus talked about, that this and more we shall do. But in my experience with religion is those are just words, because then when you begin to experience those miracles, and even those that have experienced those miracles with me, question it. And it is our conditioning that is blocking us from tapping into the real power of the heart, which is divine grace, which is bliss, which is where you fall in love with creation, where you fall in love with life, where you fall in love with beauty, where all of the wisdom comes through. And so what happens is we live in this, planet, and especially right now that we have so much fear, we have so much going on of people trying to chip your brains, and don't do that because that's going to take away it's going to keep you here, and it's not going to bring you down here, which is the shortest distance from here to here, but it's here where the miracles happen. So as I began to work with patients and I began seeing some extraordinary miracles, it was a period of time where the expansion was so big, but I also attracted other interesting individuals in my life from NASA, from CIA, from places like that. And that my life just began getting a little crazy. And so I took a step back and I closed my practice really as a healer 5 years ago. And then I began unraveling, all those experiences and all the understanding of our divinity, of our cosmic origin. And I was very heartbroken because it is hard to walk in a world where you can see the essence of people and they can't see it for themselves. And it is, nobody heals anybody. All we do is open the door for people to do their own healing, for people to step into the heart and to, break through the walls, break through the ancestral trauma that we carry in ourselves. And so I went back to accounting, and it was actually a very interesting transition because being, playing the monochord, the most that I could do per week were 15 sessions a week, the most, because the monochord is very expansive. So going back to accounting after like 10 years, it was quite a journey because I would sit in tax meetings and all of a sudden I would begin to feel that this person has cancer and that this one, and I was like, whoa, I'm not here. I'm here as an accountant, not as a healer. And then, so for the past 5 years, I have really just been kind of like taking a step back, analyzing a lot of the experiences that I have witnessed, because it is so, they tell us that our greatest fear, if you remember the Marianne Manson, we're afraid of our own power. Yeah, it's very true, because when you begin to see these things happen and you're like, how is that possible? Especially with all the, the dogma that I grew up with, and also being an accountant, 2 + 2, like I said, is 4, debits and credits. So,
but do you think it's now time to go back into the healing and bring out more of the support, like the Solarigen that you probably will tell us a bit more about, and because that will enable the heart. Does it?
Yes, and this is where I was getting at that. About a year ago, because I'm on the board of VILA, right? And I'm on the website. Men reached out to me and said, listen, I want you to try these 3. I'm going to send you these 2 lights and you test them out and see what happens. And I started working with them a year ago, and the profound realizations, the profound healings, the profound understandings that I have experienced with these little lights, like this one, this is Celestite, are amazing. What they do is like they peel the layers, and they help for anxiety, for stress, for headaches, for inflammation, for insomnia, for issues with libido. They help with, on so many levels, on a physical level, But to me, the most important part where they help is in healing the heart and tapping into a very deep knowledge and understanding that resides in us. And so I'm actually going to teach a workshop, a 2-day workshop, coming up this month in August 19th and 20th, because, you know, it's like I'm unpacking the last 5-6 years of all the stuff that I've been through. And these have been doing an amazing job, like nothing I have ever experienced, because, you know, I work with light and I have different light systems, and every one of them has a very special, you know, uniqueness about it. And, but these go, I was brought back to that first experience of the multidimensional experience that I had when I was like 32 years old. And I was brought back to that understanding that these work in a multidimensional level.
Okay.
Because we are multidimensional beings. Yeah. And it gives you it allows you to experience that when you enter the heart.
And yes, so during that workshop, are you going to teach people how to use them? Because when you know, maybe they want to use these lights, but who knows which color they have to choose, where on the body these lights have to work. Is that all being?
Yes, that's going to be all included, and also not only how to use them on the body, but also how to use them in a space to minimize the effects of electromagnetic fields. For ancestral healing.
Yeah.
I'll give you a perfect example how I used it the other day. My daughter took the bar exam. That's to become a lawyer. And she said, "Mom, do some of your magic." And I said, "Okay." I have her permission. So doing long distance work was like this. I put a glass of water. I put my intention that was her. Because remember, there's no space and time except our brain thinks there is. And I put a citrine and a cat's eye light. So one was green and the other one was yellow. Mm-hmm. And so I did that for 2 days as she took the exam. And she called me up and she said, "Mom, my brain was like focused. I was not tired. I was like on." So, and that's the beauty of working with something like this. You can work long distance. You can help so many people. Now, also for practitioners, this is one of the things that I've done actually the past 5 years is I've assisted other practitioners in how to incorporate light and sound. I haven't completely stopped my practice because I do still see practitioners, usually only practitioners. I tune them up with a monochord. And I advise them on light and sound equipment. And so what I find especially, I have had quite a few friends get sick over the years as practitioners because they are giving so much of their energy and they're being depleted from that, from giving so much. And so putting a couple of these lights in their treatment rooms, it's going to create a coherence in the space, is going to create a stability, is going to help their patients reach deeper levels of healing beyond the physical. And it's going to help the practitioners not feel so depleted. I mean, honestly, Mike Broadwell from Solarigem, I have no words to express what this man has done because I mean, he's like restored my bliss and my joy. And, you know, because it's like I've noticed that, at least in my life, I've gone through these ups and downs like that. And Mother Earth is just this divine being that is so real. Again, we got to be in the place of the heart to know that she's real. You know that movie Avatar?
Yeah.
That's not just, that's a soft disclosure movie.
Yeah.
It really does work like that. And I'm going to give you, people say, so what is it like? What is it to be in the present moment? What is that? And when I'm playing the monochord for a patient or for a client, I'm in the present moment. I am with my patient and I am journeying if they're journeying. If they're in their mind, I know it because I'm like sitting on my little heart chair that I sit on, and that's it. I'm just playing the monochord and I'm just like, okay, breathing, and usually 100% of the time I'll say, so were you thinking? And yeah, I was thinking a lot and my head was like busy, and they didn't surrender. They didn't let go. And I can tell because when they travel,
Yeah.
and my consciousness goes with them. I wanted to share with you is, sometimes people ask you, what is it being present? Like looking around. So the other day, I had a perfect experience that I wanted to share. So there was something in my heart for a long time that I wasn't letting go of. And finally, I understood that it was time to let this love go. And I sat with my monochord and I had the Solara gems around me. And I was just going into that space of my heart and just playing the monochord and just allowing the space to flow. And all of a sudden, I began to see and feel like roots coming from the earth, like roots that were going up all over my body. And this love that I had felt for this person was being taken by the roots and spread, and it was like being spread to the earth.
Yeah.
It was really beautiful to witness because love is never wasted. And that is what being present is, to see that there is a divine print on our planet that works in ways that we cannot even imagine. Nothing is ever wasted. Love is never wasted.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're all connected anyway.
Yeah.
That connection. Yeah, it's good.
It's about connection. Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah. So for me, the most important thing right now on the planet is tapping into our hearts.
Yeah.
When everything is going crazy, the way out is the way in. And I find that the Solara gems, the monochord, which I have right here, whoops, they sound therapy, color light therapy, and especially the Solara gems are, for me, heaven and earth medicine.
Yeah.
To help us tap into our hearts. And so I invite anybody that wants to come to the workshop, whether you're a practitioner, whether you are a person that just wants to use it for them. You don't have to really know anything about healing, because they are so easy to use and yet so powerful. Yeah. So it'll be Saturday and Sunday, and we're going to be doing a lot of exercises with the monochord and with the lights, and also teaching people where to put them, how to put them, how long, and just so that they can, heal themselves, so that they can open their hearts.
Great.
So
yeah. Oh, that will be great. Okay, thank you so much for your time and your passion and sharing all your amazing experiences. And yeah, I do fully agree with you. Light, color, and sound, they are energies. We made up out of these energies. So to heal it is the best way.
Yeah.
So thank you again. Thanks.
Oh, you're welcome. And the last thing I want to tell you is I'll I'm going to send you a clip of the monochord so people can hear the sound
Yeah.
of the monochord.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you again.